So let's go over to the begonia. We'll get out of this greenhouse. I want to be in here. We're setting this up for I don't want to call it a Macy's display, but basically this is going to be a showroom window for about 10 or 15 feet. This is a cane begonia, or an angel wing begonia. She got a little beat up over winter, so she's not real pretty, but she's going to fix herself really, really quick. This one here seeds out pretty good, so I can take the seeds from this one and produce more begonias. Now I've got cane begonias scattered all the way down here, and there's a bunch of canes that we grow here, angel wings. Cane begonias get very large, so if somebody has a angel wing, this is how tall they will get, 5-6 feet tall. And they'll produce new shoots from the base. This one got beat up. This one here, because it was beat up from winter, getting a little bit too much sun right now. We're going to move this into the display area. Right now we're just shoveling everything around, trying to make it good. So it's a little small on the leaves, and it's a little thin from winter because it was outside, and it did take 3 frosts on this poor little thing. So she had a little struggle. But by July, she'll be massive. She'll probably be 5-6 feet tall and 3 or 4 feet across all the way through. So this one here produces seeds pretty readily, just the bees doing it. So when you come in, you can see, you're not really going to see the female parts in there, I don't think. Maybe you can see that's the flower of this thing. Behind it is already a pre-seed pocket on the female flowers. So this one here is a male flower. There'll be some here. Let me see if I find one. This is our Amazing Grace. She has a lot of white flowers on her. She gets about 5 or 6 feet tall also. This one here really shows what the seed pods will look like, okay? So these are premature. So these are all what would be the seed cart, where the seed pods would be. All this in here. And you can see there's no seeds in there right now because this thing here is still flowering. It hasn't been pollinated. I think that Amazing Grace is sterile because I have not been able to get seed pods off of it. So I'm guessing she's sterile and she won't ever produce seed pods. Now maybe if I tried to bring some of the pollen over there from Lena or something like that, maybe I would get her to work because she is producing that part, but I'm not a chemist in any way, or biologist, scientist, any of that stuff with this. So I'm not sure if she just won't be able to produce seeds or not.
So this is the flower part. So these are the male parts, the yellow, right? Yeah,
the female we can't see on this one.
And then behind the flower is this thing here, which is the seed pod.
This would be the green part that I showed you on the hibiscus, which would be hidden because of the green part that was there on the hibiscus. Okay. This one is fully exposed so you can see it. On the other begonia, it's pollinated, so we've got that going. So you can turn that off for 1 second and we'll walk over to back to the other begonia. Okay. This would have got pollinated. It would have carried down to the seed pod, fertilized the seeds, which would have created the seeds to grow. If it doesn't get pollinated, the seeds won't grow. This will just fall off. When it's done, you won't have any seeds in it. It'll be empty, barren, basically. So this one here, I keep picking the seeds off when people come. Hopefully these are good seeds. And this one here, these here have already dried. So these are ready for harvesting.
So if you pop those open, it should be filled with seeds.
Yeah, and begonia seeds are one of the smallest seeds that there is. So there's going to be 1,000 seeds in one of these things, and they're very hard to get to go because they're very, very tiny. Maybe we should pop this open inside. So
I was going to say.
You can do that on a white piece of paper.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
And then you can see the seeds of this thing. So we're going to do a couple different videos over the time. We're going to do some aeroids and different things that show how to pollinate those, and different types of flowering on how to produce seed pods from them. So can we, before we run inside, I forgot the passion fruit is blooming. I don't know if it's blooming, but it has fruit, so it's going to give a little bit better. So let's get a real quick shot of that before customers come down in. Yeah, this is a young plant, but this is Passiflora Blossom Purple. This is the most popular one to produce for the best edible fruit that there is. But people don't realize that fruit is your seed pod. It's not your seeds, it's your seed pod. Within the pod are seeds. You get an orange that...
So it would be like if this part of this flower turned into a fruit, the seeds would still be in it, but this would just turn into a fruit?
Right, the fruit is the outer part of it. We're just not, we call this a fruit because we eat it. This one here, this outer part, we're not going to eat it, so we don't call this a fruit, it's just a seed pod. But it's the same thing, it's no different. So if you bought an orange at the store that had seeds in it, that's the seed pod. The seeds that are in it, they had to wait till the fruit ripened, or the seed pod ripened, to harvest if you wanted to sprout those seeds from the orange. Anything that you get that has seeds in it, bananas have seeds, but people don't realize it. Most of your bananas that you get in the store, well, all the ones you get in the store, those are sterile. So they don't produce a seed. That little tiny black thing that you see, the diamond shapes around there, that would have been the seed if it got pollinated and it wasn't a seedless variety. Seedless variety is usually radiated in some way to not allow it to transfer the pollen to the female part to produce a seed. I have never yet seen a banana seed, but I believe they're probably about the size of a dime, I think is what I've read. And some of the bananas that we will be growing this year, we probably won't get fruiting on them this year to produce seeds, but some of the varieties that we are doing will produce seeds. But then you have this big huge seed, like when you eat watermelon, you have the seeds you got to spit out, and that'll be in a banana. So it's basically, we've hybridized that one and done stuff to it so that it doesn't produce a seed within the fruit or within the seed pod. But we have some other plants up there. I'm sure one of the passion flowers are blooming. It just won't be the passion fruit varieties. And again, if we wanted to cross pollinate, we would. The other thing too on that, okay, this is important, I guess. So if we wanted to cross pollinate from a different variety of passion fruit or passion flower, they're both the same. Some don't produce good tasting fruit, but are more aggressive in their growth pattern. So let's say I had a Lady Margaret, which is a maroon colored. This one is white with a little bit of lavender in its bloom. Let's say I have a Lady Lavender next door that is next door to this plant, and the bees cross-pollinated it. The fruit would still be possum purple. So it'd still be the same fruit. However, the seeds that are in it will be a cross of the two, which means the seeds may not produce the possum purple, and the Lady Margaret has horrible fruit. Still produces a seed pod, but the fruit sometimes is hollow or not very good tasting from what I've read online. So the fruit on this one, even though it cross-pollinated, has nothing to do with the current fruit that's on there. It'll only be on the seeds that sprout for the next generation, if that makes sense. So even if you had two different apple trees there, and you thought that cross-pollinating would make the fruit on your Macintosh would be different than your fruit on your Golden Delicious, your Golden Delicious will still produce the same fruit that it was intended to produce no matter what. The Macintosh would still produce the same exact flavor, same exact fruit. So it's not going to mess up if you say, oh, my Macintosh were horrible. They must have cross-pollinated with each other. It would have nothing at all to do with it. That would have to do with what's coming from the soil and what you're producing on your plant. If you're spraying your plant or doing something, usually it's a soil issue or your water issue that would produce that the fruit isn't as good as normal on that plant. It has nothing to do with them maybe cross-pollinating with each other when they were flowering. The fruit's going to be the same. The seeds you might collect from them and trying to sprout now would cross-pollinate the two species together, and now you're going to have something totally different, if that makes sense. So let's go tear this seed pod apart before I lose it.
Okay.
Oh, I only have one left. Too much talking. That's okay, we only need one, right?
Yep.
All right, we're good.